Hey there, and welcome to an aerial tour of Skydive Spaceland, Houston. Whether you're here on the property or you're just checking out the Dropzone online, our goal is to help you feel more comfortable and more familiar with the layout of the Dropzone. Here we are above the hangar, so let's drop down to the manifest office where you'll be checking in. From Manifest, we're going to fly over and check out the general landing area. The Spaceland property is about 130 acres of land divided into 4 different landing areas, the first of which is the general landing area. This area is open to all jumpers of all skill levels. The rules are no turns greater than 90 degrees, we're going to fly using a left-hand pattern, and we're going to land in the direction of the arrow, also known as the landing direction indicator. Our landing direction indicator looks like this, and it's very easy to read. Now, this arrow always points in the direction that you'll be landing. The arrow will also be pointing in the direction of your holding area, so it's a very useful tool to help you fly a clean and predictable landing pattern. And you should look at the arrow on every single jump, as wind conditions have the potential to change throughout the day. This arrow is the boss on the north side of the runway. It's the responsibility of all jumpers landing in the general landing area to follow this arrow, regardless of windsock activity or actual wind direction. On days that we have light and variable wind, the arrow might be tethered down. If the wind direction has changed, there's a small chance that jumpers might be landing with a slight downwind push. So if you don't wish to follow the arrow for any reason, simply land on the other side of the runway in the alternate landing area, which we'll show you in a moment. Long story short, follow the arrow. Our runway is 3,400 feet in length. You are not allowed to cross the runway under 1,000 feet. We must respect and avoid this tiny bit of airspace for our pilots and the aircraft that they're flying. Now, it's important to note that there is a grass runway which runs parallel to the paved runway. If you're landing on the south side of the runway, please stay back and give the airplane plenty of room. The aircraft always has a right-of-way. If you're waiting to cross the runway, it's helpful for the pilot if you take a knee. This way the pilot knows you aren't going to cross the runway unexpectedly. This is the alternate landing area that we mentioned earlier. This is the perfect place to land if you wish to land in a different direction than the arrow is pointing. The rules for this landing area are no turns greater than 90 degrees, fly using a left-hand pattern, and you may land in any direction that you'd like. Directly adjacent to the alternate landing area is the swoop park. Our swoop pond is 500 feet long by 250 feet wide. This area is perfect for high-performance canopy pilots who want to do large turns. The rules for this area are you should plan a turn greater than 270 degrees, you may land in any direction, and you may fly your pattern in any direction. Since different jumpers might have different plans for landing in this area, communication is vital. Please be sure to inform others on the load that you are landing in this area. If other jumpers on the load are landing in this area as well, it's important that you communicate your planned pattern, turn, and landing direction. Our fourth and final landing area is the customer support and D-license landing area. Since this area is north of the runway, it's also subject to the rules of the arrow. This area is primarily for tandems, videographers, and instructors on work jumps. D-licensed jumpers are also allowed to land here, but we encourage them to use the general landing area whenever possible. There are occasions on high-volume days where non-staff jumpers are not allowed to land in this area. The rules for landing in this area are, it's primarily used for student support jumps, you must have a D license, no turns greater than 90 degrees, fly using a left-hand pattern, and land in the direction of the arrow. Now for an overview of our facilities. This is the main hangar, which is the starting point for all jumping operations. We have a rigging loft, air-conditioned packing space, a deli, a pro shop, and all of our student areas. Hangar 2 is a maintenance and aircraft storage hangar. As a non-staff member, you should have no reason to be in this building. This is the bunkhouse. With bathrooms, showers, and bunk beds, it's the perfect place to stay for visiting jumpers or new skydivers working towards their license. On a 5-minute call, you're expected to be in the loading area. You should be fully geared up and ready to skydive. Please don't show up in the loading area until you're completely geared up and ready to jump. This is loading area number 1. Normally, an aircraft which is just firing up or an airplane which has just finished fueling will load here. This is loading area number 2. When an aircraft is turning or landing from one load and picking up the next, we will normally load here on the taxiway. The aircraft will be loaded in the opposite of exit order. It is your responsibility to coordinate with other jumpers on the load and sort out exit order before lining up to board the airplane. Exit order is as follows: hop and pops, belly groups, big to small, free fly groups, big to small, STP students, tandem students, wingsuits, and high pullers. Skydives with horizontal movement will be spaced out throughout the load, typically with flat trackers exiting first. Seatbelts and helmets should be worn until 1,500 feet. The orange markers up front represent the beer line. You are not allowed to land inside this line or to cross it below 20 feet. Repeat offenders will be asked to choose a different landing area. Orange markers in other areas of the field represent separation between landing areas as well as airspace. Just like the runway, you should not cross these lines below 1,000 feet. On the north side of the property, there is a berm which runs from west to east. On days where winds are coming from the south, the shape of this berm creates a considerable amount of turbulence. Please fly a smart pattern and avoid flying downwind of this obstacle. We hope this video has made you feel more acquainted and better oriented with the property and the drop zone. If you have any questions, please ask a staff member, manager, or a safety officer of the drop zone. Be safe and happy jumping.